Hey, this is the Gunmuse channel. We are actually going to talk about a little Guns Glory stuff tonight because I'm seeing a trend taking place in my Discord channel, rogersraiders.com/Discord. I will get that up on the page here shortly. Those who watch the lives do know that I've got all kinds of crap that I've got to do when we start a live service because I don't do those live will be starting in 10 minutes screens. I just don't do that. YouTube, create, go live, because YouTube doesn't know that people need to be ready before we push buttons for streaming. They just are completely unaware. So I got all this stuff I got to do. All right. And I've just taken it upon myself that I'm just going to start showing you the mess that they make me do now. All right. So let's go here. And we already, we instantly get a bunch of viewers. It's nice that that's happening. Wow. Okay. Concurrent viewers 2. It gets better if I actually do my job. Okay, muted use. And tonight the topic is going to be, oh my gosh. I know what the topic is, I just can't know how to describe it. Topic's going to be matchups. That's right. Matchup math, because that's what everybody's talking about. That is the common theme of complaints in the Discord room. Oh, my thumbnail. Daily custom thumbnail limit reach. What? I have no clue what the hell that was. Or that there was a daily custom thumbnail limit. I've never heard of such a thing. But there's an error, so that might be features coming. There's a lot of software companies out there that do these automated graphic modifications for custom thumbnails. I don't use them. I just pick a couple. But I guess every time I click on this, it's a custom thumbnail. There's no way I'm reaching a limit of any kind. Guns of Glory 2021. We're not going to be able to say that much for longer. Okay, so this can be R4, R5 training as well. And Kingdom versus Kingdom. KVK. Got a lot of little puddles in here. Guns of Glory. Gunmuse. GOG. That's usually enough for now. Yeah, I've always kind of I understand why the starts in 10 minutes thing exists. I understand it, and it's people filming out of their garage who think they're acting professional. I don't think I'm fooling anybody by saying, I'm not in my garage, but I've got my own building here. My professional stuff is a little more professional than other people's, but I'm not operating out of a studio in rented building downtown. I don't think that's ever going to happen again with me and for most people. When I got rid of the computer store, it was $6,000 a month just to open the door. Between rent, electricity, and when every time we say, well, we should just make the rich corporate people pay for it. Well, that means higher rates, higher electricity, higher gas. It became the standard that businesses just pay more, and then you wonder why we have to charge more. It was $6,000 a month before I sold anything. I had to pay $6,000 just to let somebody walk through the door. And then you got to start doing all this backwards math, when you start, and this is before you buy advertising, anything else. And then I can tell you, having bought an, being in doing the advertising thing for more than 20 years, the math we used to work off of was it cost on average $65 to get a customer to walk through your door. The So your customer has to be worth not $65 in gross sales, but $65 over the life of the customer, whatever that life may be. If your customers only show up to your store one time and never come back, you've lost money on that guy. If that customer comes back 3, 4, 5 times a year, well, now that customer only has to spend enough money to make $10 to break even. What is the muted Gunmuse? Uh, I have missed this. Are, yeah. The muted Gunmuse is kind of an inside joke to the fact that Google has pulled a little more than 200,000 stories off the web about me. We've gone over in the past and brought them up before. Uh, you got to go through the Wayback Machine to find articles from 2004, 2005. You know, when I was actually an advisor to Congress about the fact that Google, YouTube not wasn't so much at that time. YouTube wasn't, um, but Google specifically was setting up the math to where they could suppress any free speech they wanted to. Matter of fact, last live, Caleb, if you were here last week, you watched live. YouTube stopped me from paying a user from winning a contest for money. I mean, during that live, I mean, we spent more than an hour just trying to get that person their money. Because YouTube, there's a thing, and it sounds so conspiratorial because they slapped it with the word FANG. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, spells out FANG. That this is the four cabals of media trying to control speech. Uh, and they've been trying to do it for a long, long, long time. And they're getting more arrogant about it. Once politicians started getting in bed directly with social platforms that were humongous, for the quick, easy access to people. The minute that the guy who owns Facebook thinks that Democrats are awesome, then the Democrat stories go flowing. There's nothing, no matter what they're saying, there's nothing that's not manipulatable. So to claim that, yeah, other people are manipulating my Facebook platform, not me. Like you don't have an opinion over a product or property that you own. Okay, that's the opinion you're supposed to get every time they drag somebody up in front of Congress and interview them. It's like, oh, we appreciate how wonderful you are and how much you make sure that it's that there's fair play and we shut down all these false stories that happens to be all our political appointments and everything they say, despite the fact that when facts come out, we're proven wrong every single time for 20 years. It's just the first thing a human being hears is the truth, and any actual facts have a hard time countering it. That's why it is so important to be in control of social media. It's the first place people hear anything. Whether or not it's true doesn't matter. Your brain doesn't know any different if it's never heard the fact before. So the first time you get new information into your brain, it's always the truth. There's nothing to counter it. The only thing that can counter that information is the ability to use deductive reasoning, and we have eliminated that from education in the last 40 years. To where you won't turn around and go, oh my gosh, people don't act that way, I don't believe it. So the muted Gunmuse is an inside joke. But it was an inside joke because actually on the Guns of Glory side, they tried to get Google, or YouTube rather, to mute me. We had a little in the background fight. VOI, FYI. What is VOI? Janice. Ooh, look at my Sonic cup. It's like I'm filtering out white. What's up with that? I must have farted with my filters by accident. That's why I'm transparent. If I'm filtering out white, that means one of my lights has changed color, and that's why the filter's gone goofy. I'm having big problems with my lights. All right, so hold on here. I got to. Okay, I'm going to say this up front. I farted around with how the stream is sent to YouTube. And I don't know exactly what is going to happen there, because we get a little bit into the distance on the YouTube channel here, and it's always telling me that, we start to where we have stream stutter, and it's on the YouTube side, because I check my bandwidth. I'm only using a third of my bandwidth, so, and I've got pretty expensive hardware in here that doesn't crap out. All right, so HTTPS, that's something I need to do. Oh. All right, the Discord channel. I'm going to directly go into the Discord channel stuff this week. And guys, let me get finished setting up stuff here. What am I looking for? Oh, one second. This software has now become dated. Basically, and this falls in the line of what we're talking about on the muted Gunmuse. We had this thing set up on to where when I sent out a push here, it would notify you on your phone. You get those little notifications on your phone. Well, you can't get those notifications on your phone if you're not paying Google to send them now. Used to be if you and me agreed to talk between your phone and my server, well, who else needs to be involved, right? It's your phone and my server, but that's not true anymore. Now I've got to turn around and get permission from Apple and get permission from Google, and then they will tell me that they're sending you notifications, although we haven't seen any result of it. All right. So, but we do send them out, and some people get them, and the browser stuff still gets them from Microsoft. Copy. Live to talk about Kingdom matchups. That's what we're going to be talking about, right? The Kingdom matchup math. Seems like I got to address this every couple years. It's the same thing. We actually got an article over there on it. Choose file. Save. Immediately. So there's 3,700 people signed up for this push, because the 8,000 signed up for YouTube don't necessarily get it. YouTube, really, I done some dirty things when it comes to lives, right? I tried to pay people with crypto last week. Ooh, Google don't like me now. We normally spark up to 20 right away, and I saw we only sparked up to 8. Ooh. So either my audience hates me and doesn't want to see me no more, or maybe the people trying to suppress the speech that I did last week have put new filters and layers of ramp up in there. See, so we'll go outside of YouTube and get people to come directly to the market. But I did notice that they stopped stuttered the stream there for a second. let's go into Discord. Guns of Glory. At everyone. And there's that. Kingdom matchups. All right. See, this is why you got all this stuff you got to do. You need like a damn engineer over in the corner that's, and I didn't plan. I got people who come in to help me do some of this stuff, but I didn't tell anybody I was going live. I was just looking at the Discord channel going, it's Saturday. I didn't know it was Saturday until my wife told me about 3 hours ago. I swear to God it was Thursday still. Excellent connection. Analytics are going up. Viewer activities going up. All right. And go ahead and pull that off the screen. Wait a hell. What the hell? Oh, I pulled the wrong thing off the screen. Pull that off. What the hell? I keep grabbing the wrong. Oh, that tab's over here. Pull that tab off the screen. All right. And tell I'm looking for a 220 Wi-Fi switch. Something. I want a switch that will let me turn on and off 220 power, and then I can attach it to my Stream Deck, my little button thing over here. For my other channel, I've got industrial equipment that's powered by 220, and sometimes I need to turn it off, turn it on while I'm doing a live over there, which I hadn't done a live yet. I'm just getting ready for it. I know that I'm going to have to turn the equipment on and off because I'm going to deliberately crash the equipment on film, and then so that everybody sees the problem and they can go back and watch me create the problem. That way, when they accidentally create the problem, they've got a reference point. I'm taking a different approach over there. You can't take with the game over here. I'm going in there and acting a little dumber because I don't want to fight the market's knowledge. Hate to be thinking that way. So there's my little mining operation. I put a new card in today. That one card increased my income by 25%. Goodbye. I got to show you this. So I buy mining equipment, right? I bought these things called NT miners I've been waiting 6 weeks for to show them up. And what showed up was a necklace so that they had a tracking number to act like they sent me my equipment, and hoping that I'm not paying attention or I can't find it in PayPal to go dispute the charges. They charged me $100 for this freaking 10-cent costume jewelry. So I ordered 2 of them. I got them from 2 different companies, or I got it from 2 different places. One in Queens, New York. I'm betting that's the docks run by the mob. The other one is someplace in Brooklyn, New York. X-Pot Incorporated and Edge Incorporated. So 2 different companies I got 2 different return addresses when I ordered the devices from the same place. So this is the scam that's going on, stealing people's Christmas money, right? So I got to go in there and take care of that. Paid $100 a piece for them freaking 50-cent costume jewelry things. But I have a business. My PayPal accounts is old, and it's a business account, and so I can go and dispute stuff from it. What am I wanting to do here? I need to come over here. Open that. I don't want that there. I want that over here. Get that on your screen so you see that we're going to talk about Guns of Glory here. I'm still getting the stuff ramped up so people know I'm even talking. Jim, what's going on? Uh, I forgot the name of this company. Oh, YouTube gives me this shortcut. Oop, don't do that. And you cannot use the shortcut to promote your live streams. There's another one of those things where they're in the middle of your business. So here's all these tools we give you, but you're only allowed to use those tools with Google products. So I can pay Google for a market that doesn't pay me back. There's no money. If I was to spend $100 with Google, I would be losing $99. But they would have a lot of viewers. So if I was just trying to inflate my ego, that's the way it would do it. I don't even know that they're real viewers. They could be fake viewers. Since it doesn't translate into money, I have to assume they're fake viewers. So Derek, hold on. I'm still not done here. I got one more promotional push to put out. Since I'm actually talking about Guns of Glory today, I don't want to sign up. I want to log in. Oops. I got to add money to that place. Deposit. You know what? Let's go ahead and add 50 bucks to them. Hold on. I got to add money to one of my freaking promotion things here. I won't spend 50 bucks. What? Delete. Deposit $50. I went to the next screen and it said, hey, you're depositing 100. I was like, no, I wasn't. Ooh, pay with crypto to get a 5% bonus. They're only accepting Bitcoin, and I actually don't hold any Bitcoin. Uh, let's do this. Thank you for your payment. That was quick. That was the quickest that's ever been. I can tell you worldwide credit card payment systems in the last 6 months have greatly improved. And I think due to the fact that crypto is trying to put them out of business. That the slowness of international transactions through credit cards and security and all that other stuff has scared everybody. All right, dink, dink. I love all these warnings now about how my passwords are at risk. It would seem to me that my password could only be at risk because the browser itself has been monitoring what my password is. Oh, look at that. Okay. And then you guys know I got the Get Game thing I had for years. People still respond to that. Uh, there's close to 18,000 people on that. Missing hours. Oh, all right. We can get down to business now. What the hell? Do do. It's about look the money that Caleb. The money is in the government, right? Let's say I wanted to act like I'm going to some college to defer how many people wear blue socks, right? So we're going to give a government grant through Congress to give out $250 million to find out how many blue sock wearers there are so we can decide in the future if we want to give money to a company that builds blue socks. That's the way Congress works. You know, that's why we got shrimp running on wheels. Well, Google figured out that they could go in there and just turn around and with pretty much exact definity based on the number of Americans with an IP address who search for blue socks, how many people wear blue socks. So they create these artificial educational grants to the colleges. Google pays the college, Google provides the data, Google gets the money, and you do that with 1,000, 2,000 subjects, and now you're saying, well, YouTube's shooting himself in the foot. Why? Because they're making money, and all Google needs or YouTube needs is for people to be on the platform. So it becomes, let's go look at Mr. Beast do something like plant, 2 trillion trees. I promise you that the human nature of people didn't give a shit whether or not Mr. Beast was planting trees. But suddenly, millions and millions and millions of traffic was put to it. The number one largest planters of trees in the United States, foresting companies, people who cut down trees, plant more trees than all the leftists combined. And they plant more trees than they cut down every year. You know why? Because they got tired of arguing in the 70s when this liberal leftist movement started about save the planet. Oh, you're clear cutting the forest. They got one picture of a clear cut area, and they didn't even say who it belongs to. I remember seeing those pictures like, oh, the wooded spotted owl is now dead because of this. Because the wooded spotted owl didn't know it can move 150 yards to the left to another tree? Come on now. The reality is no one knows whether or not that owl even existed before somebody found it or did somebody plant it there. And it never did go in danger. There's more of those. I mean, because the minute they talk about them, companies turn around and make sure that they are not under that weight, and it counteracts everything. Google's not going to die until people under. Holy crap! That was a good promotion. That was well worth the $3. Look at all these people in here. All right. Ah, this is my looky loo audience. They don't chat a lot. Ah, no, it's the we as a society are not paying attention to simple facts in front of our face that don't add up. This is where I say the deductive reasoning is lost, right? I remember as a child in the 70s, being told by my social studies teacher that the rainforest was being burned at a rate of 50,000 acres per day. This is in the 70s. Since I've been told that fact and heard it repeated throughout my life, the entire planet Earth has been burned 4.5 times every single livable acre based on that math. Was the rainforest being burned at 50,000 acres a day? Yes, sure was. Every single year when they had to cut back the rainforest, they could plant a crop because it regrew 50,000 acres every year. So, yeah, it's the facts they left out when trying to shock you into, oh my God, the rainforest is being burned. No, farmers are trying to recoup their land because the rainforest grows so easily. South America happens to be a place. There's a good special. It's on Netflix where it talks about the rain patterns, the global rain patterns. They're trying to shock and scare you about, how the world's one big ecosystem, which it is. Leaving out the fact that the world's one big ecosystem and man is not significant yet. Man would have to be 20,000 times the population that we are today to be significant in that ecosystem. So there's sandstorms and dirt storms that pop up in Africa. And those dirt storms get carried across the trade winds on the southern hemisphere, and it literally rains rich dirt in South America. And that rich dirt from Africa that doesn't have any water, there's a rain, there's a jet stream that goes from South America to North America, and that in turn waters the rainforest. That's why it grows so quickly. But the planet is a great big ecosystem in that in order for a plant to grow, there has to be a carbon dioxide exhaling counterpart to the oxygen exhaling plant. In other words, without animals breathing carbon dioxide out, the thing they call a pollutant, plants themselves cannot grow. Because the Earth's balance of oxygen through every form of science has been 21% for over 600,000 years. So the amount of oxygen has not gone up or down no matter what kind of animals on the planet. When the dinosaurs ruled the Earth, it was 21%. Now that we rule the Earth, it's 21%. Hadn't changed, despite the fact that volcanoes eat oxygen and they blow out greenhouse gases. The largest emitter of greenhouse gas on the planet is a volcano in southern and Antarctica. Yes, there's a volcano in Antarctica. The ozone hole above Antarctica is not because you drove your car home last night. The ozone hole above Antarctica is because there's a volcano that just spews greenhouse gases right into the atmosphere. And ain't nobody talked about dropping a nuke down that volcano to shut it off. It's the excuse of why you need to be taxed out of every nickel you ever own. All right. So, this is why YouTube hates me, by the way. Like I said, that's from a 1970s textbook. The math just doesn't add up. And you're supposed to believe the bullshit. Why are we up to 270 freaking viewers? That was a really good promotion. That's more than it should be. I usually only get about 100 people from that reach out. All right. A lot of these viewers that are coming in right now don't speak English. That's why I don't go that often into pushing it out. But I've been translating the videos into 10 languages after they're done and uploaded to YouTube. Like next week, I'll translate it into the 10 languages. So, yeah, we're at 660 playbacks. Wow, that's good deal. Okay. So what am I showing you guys? I'm showing you not that, but this. I mean, if I open this, oh, that's on the wrong screen. Alrighty. Okay. So there was a whole bunch of discussion over the KVK, the matchups, and the KRs. I think KR was this week, right? Because I got hit. Yeah, that's right. KR had to be this week because I got hit. I had that up and ready to go. All right. At least it wasn't one. So who was it that hit me here? What's going on here? Oh, tell you what I did. I was scrolling my mouse like I was on a web page. I forget this is a artificial touchscreen. All right, did I get hit anywhere before that? Let's go down. Surely. Oh yeah, I got a lot of hits this week. All right, so over the course of KR, let's take a look at his stats. Now this guy's got bigger stats than me, but as you saw, for some stinking reason, he pummeled himself into my castle 8 times. Man, you can get banned from those groups, Caleb. Just warning. Want to know why the muted Gunmuse? A lot of people who tell people about my videos or go live get kicked out of groups because Guns of Glory sets those groups up. Their marketing team does, and they don't want me marketing their product. They want to control whether or not something positive or negative says. Every company wants nothing but positive things said about their product, and that's not what we do here. We are honest about a product and the fact that they have a problem. Trucker daddy, huh? Well, I ran to Sonic and got myself some corn dogs and stuff like that. So I wanted to go back to this guy that was much bigger than me. Hold on. So he softened me up. Let's get in here. And then the first hit by this guy, he got his small but soft. He's got a level 8 airship. I don't know what kingdom is he from. I wish they'd put his kingdom number on the damn report. It's it's just for sakes. I don't know who this guy is. It'd be nice to, give his kingdom number. But he's got a 17,000 top stats, 27,000 to my 18s, 17 to my 11s, and 27,000 to my 18s. All right. Because I haven't, and I don't even have my frames on. So he's 151.5 damage to my 139 army damage. That's the big number. He gets a humongous advantage with 11 points of damage. But people keep asking, does the firewall work and how does it work against other stuff, things like that. This guy has even got more war books than me. That I'm surprised by. Very few. Well, this has got to be an older kingdom of some kind to have that many war books, because he's not. His top stats aren't that. I don't know. Is that isn't like the top stat right now like 28? Yeah. So this is like some free farm castle of his, or a free player of some kind. 17,000 would be a free player right now in an old kingdom. Uh, I could be 17,000 for free. I'm just not in a hurry to do it. Yeah, yeah, we do. We may like M&Ms, but we don't put candy coating around our chocolatey shell. Uh, 2019. Yes, I'll say yes to that one there. Term. Uh, Man, are you on my mailing list from back then? I just did like an old promotion that I hadn't used in forever and got like a ton of viewers out of it. Or were you on my freaking old time lists? I have like 43,000 people who have signed up for me to send them emails. A lot of people throw their email address in there, but the reality is no one wants to be spammed, so they give me a bogus email address. They don't check their Yahoo accounts because they go, I'll just go get a Yahoo email. And Yahoo, if you haven't logged into your Yahoo email account in 3 months, Yahoo makes it bounce to my server and then tells the web that I'm a spammer. So we stopped sending out emails a long time ago. If you keep wondering why you don't get emails from me, it's because they lie about me. You may ask me for an email, but Yahoo has determined you're not going to get it. And because I can't, we're going to be redoing Rogers Raiders specifically to deal with the fact that the big players in search and what do you want to call them? Like the Play Store and the Amazon Store, the app galleries, the app stores. Those are controlling market in such a way that their outdated thinking before they assume control is fucking it for everybody, including themselves, but they don't know it. They are throwing money away, you know, because they're too busy trying to prove to each other about how much free speech they can suppress while people are just simply trying to play a damn game. Uh, I don't have to play ball with that. I've got a design team, and we are putting back in. Okay, so yeah, 28K. That's what I thought. I'm trying to keep on top. I'm not into it on the day to day right now. We'll get into the day to day probably around February 1st. Um, the we'll get into the day to day around February 1st sometime. Wow, 1,400 playback so far. I'm sitting here marveling at myself. If you guys have not subscribed to my channel, you just showed up because Google said, "Hey, we're gonna tell you about it this week because you have an interest in Guns of Glory," and YouTube does do that. Please subscribe. I actually am trying to get to the 10,000 number so I can sell you my T-shirts. I have some of the more popular T-shirts for 20 years. We went over that last live. Yeah, my T-shirt was older than most of my audience. Yeah. Watch that Dead Zone. What Dead Zone? You know what I started watching yesterday, and I finished. I went out and I bought a new Roku because uh, Hulu needs this anti-copying software to be active, and my TV, my Samsung TV is like 10 years old, so the Hulu app on my TV wouldn't show me anything in above 720p, and I wanted to start watching some of the stuff in 4K. They wouldn't even show me the shows that were available in 4K because I couldn't update the Hulu app on my TV. So I went out and bought a new 4K Roku and plugged it into the HDMI thing, so now I can watch all the things. And things like Castle, which is, an older show, but I went and watched all 8 seasons of Castle. And then they suggested a new one that the guy from Firefly. Remember, he had that 14 episode show that became like a cult classic, Firefly. He's got this new one called The Rookie, and I really like The Rookie. Uh, the He plays a almost 50-year-old guy that decides he's going to become a cop. So it's a lot of old jokes. Yeah. All right. Yeah, see, I got a bunch of people. I'm hoping the one I put out was a lot of overseas people, so I got a lot of viewers out of it. The reason I did this on this live is I'm trying to see if Google tracks IP addresses from other countries that have shown an interest in my live so that when I go back and update the languages for those countries, because I can't do it in real time, if they will show my live DVR version to more people worldwide. So I'm playing with the Google algorithm. I'm going to use you guys to do it. Round numbers, man. I'm telling you that because of the essence of fair play, uh, 20 to 30% is your ballpark uh, for defense purposes. The offensive guys like Chris B. I don't know Chris. I've never spoke to Chris B. I don't know who that is. I know of him because people talk about him, and I don't know why. Other than they got hit by a guy with 26,000, 28,000 stats all the freaking time. I don't even know what kingdom is he in. What kingdom's Chris B in? I don't even know what kingdom he's part of. Like I said, I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just not familiar. I've been in my world. Yeah. I was glad to hear that somebody got hit by uh, oh my gosh, Dark Mystic, but I don't know that Dark Mystic is playing again. Yeah. Yes. Serenity movie. Okay. So from what I have seen, and so you guys see that I keep setting my castle up to be hit so that I can see, and I'm right next to the forest. So when KR comes in here, this becomes part of the matchup. Uh, you know what? That guy probably scouted me. Yeah, there he is. Kingdom 418, simply because you sent a scout. Uh, most other people that scouted me said, no freaking way, Bubba. Uh, the Dead Zone Plague. I'll freak out. I doubt I'll freak out, man. I don't know, man. The older I get, the more I realize that Hollywood doesn't have a clue what's going on around them. Literally they're Googling the world and Google's controlling what information's flowing around. So they're they're trying to meet a market that doesn't really exist. Yeah, and I try to be careful about that. We were talking about that with Dark Mistake. Why you gotta hate, man? Yeah. No, I had somebody in my Discord channel. Hold on. Got hit by Dark Mist. But see, like I said, you don't know what happened with their castle. Dark Mystic could quit playing for like a year and still be a relevant castle. So somebody could pay him $1,000 for that castle and would never have to spend a nickel the, for a year just because they'd be so far ahead on everything. They would win every event. They get all the free loot. They get. That's if I just stopped playing anything that I paid for and played all the free events with my castle, I get so much free loot that I could go another year on my castle and not have to spend anything and be relevant. I'll watch it. The what app is it on? There, Killa. It may not be available in my country. Ooh, we're getting more surges. Look at that. I'm what? Hold on. I'm telling you to look at that, but I'm not showing it to you. All right. So you can see down here where we go down. Like I said, this is a bunch of overseas stuff. So what they're doing is they're pushing out the icon and title in the browse feature in those countries where I did my push. You can see right here where I added, you know, I was sitting there talking about adding money to my account. You know, that advertising works. That was $3. Well worth the $3. Yeah, but it's flowing up and down like 100 people. Oh, it's on YouTube? All right, we'll do that. Hold on one second. I need. Oh, man. Oh, it wasn't you guys I was telling. So my dad calls me up yesterday, and he wanted me to go with him to buy tires. Yeah, because my dad's one of these people that whatever's cheapest on the shelf is just perfect, is the perfect thing that he was looking for. So I went with him to buy tires yesterday. And the cheapest thing on the shelf for his truck was like $850. And I talked him into a $912 set of tires. Yeah. That I know instead of getting 50,000 miles out of them, he'll get close to 150,000 miles out of them. We live so far out in the middle of nowhere that we run, you know, my wife's Jeep has 195,000 miles on it right now. It's a 2016. The her job is literally a 4 mile round trip. So those miles are just things like we have to go get groceries, or we'll go get breakfast on Sunday, and that's a 220-mile round trip. Like if we're going to go out to eat breakfast, it's 220 miles. The So we went out and got him new tires, but it's like an hour to put the tires on. So we wanted to walk down, and you guys know I don't walk very well. Walk down and eat at the rib crib, and it was like a mile round trip. There's a thing to be asking there, Jonathan. If no one's close to him because everybody else stopped spending, why is he spending? So we walked down to the rib crib, and that walk was a pain in the ass. But it was like I remember when I was a little kid in Fort Worth, when we were living up in Fort Worth, my dad was walking down the street, and I was probably like 4. And I remember just what a struggle it was to keep up with how fast my dad walked. And it was like that all over again. My 70-some-year-old dad freaking walking down the damn street, and I was like 50 feet behind him moving so slow. He slowed down once he got a gut full of rib meat. Kingdom 273. See, they're not even, I don't ever hear anything about Kingdom 273. So is he in some random kingdom? I mean, Kingdom 33s and I mean, there's kingdoms that spend as a kingdom. 362 was a kingdom where we spent as a kingdom. We never had, we eventually got top stat guys who were at the peak of stats all the time, 2 or 3 of them. But for the first year, that wasn't true. The reason we were winning against those top stat kingdoms back then was because the kingdom spent money. We had 60, 70 guys who spent $800 a month. And were willing to show up on a Saturday and spend 18 hours just beating the shit out of somebody till they quit out of frustration. Every time somebody doesn't have the time to spend in it, you know, we would make up traction when. But that's what I did for the KVKs is, man, I would stare at that screen like a freaking sniper for 10 hours until I said, that guy's not watching his screen. And then we knew we could double tap something and zero them down. And then as the people, when somebody wasn't on their phone to keep a tower full, we would dwindle down that tower and then watch the rest of the kingdom fill that tower in without that guy being there to replace it for his megas. And then we would keep chewing up the support staff out from underneath those kingdoms that had big players. Yeah, but see, and Derek, this is where we kind of learned this lesson, and me and to promote Disappointing Turtle a bit, we had this discussion where I went last year and bought a castle in a brand new kingdom and kept it ahead of everybody with money. I spent $30,000 on the castle we're looking at now. The if you guys aren't my Discord channel, that way you can post these things, and I got pictures and stuff to work off of. So we're talking about that. So now I can show you. Individual power, kingdom rank, Dark Mystic. All right. He is still number 4, and he quit 2 months ago. I don't know what she's showing me there. Oh, I am Groot. Oh, she was. This is what she was complaining about. Was troop attack 20,000. Well, that looks like a number when he quit. Oh, that's I am Groot stats. See, you don't know who's playing the castle, but I can guarantee you that's a castle that stopped spending. But he doesn't make a splash. I'm not saying, again, don't read into it as negative. He doesn't do stuff that crosses into my world, because my world is more about teaching people who spend less than $150 a month how to get the most out of that $150 a month. Yeah, well, the castle gets so Derek, the castle gets so big that it becomes I can't teach with it. That's why I kept giving castles away. Yeah, I would go drop $2,000-3,000 on a castle for 3-4 months and then give it away. But I make $250,000 a year off YouTube. I can do that. It's what you're paying. I mean, you're not paying me. I mean, very few people are paying me directly, but the money that gets paid directly goes straight into charity. So I mean, if I can spend $2,500, $3,000 on a castle, and it generates $30,000 in donations to my charity, then the $2,500 that I was going to give to the charity was better spent on the castle because I got $30,000 for it. It's a non-direct path to achieving a goal. So that's why the charity stuff is what the charity stuff is. The and the so the like when anybody donates down there in the monetized thing, that money goes straight to freaking charity, man. And it's and then out of I don't have to turn around and try and deduct off my taxes the cost of the charity anymore, because I'm now in a fixed income. You know, I make less than $50,000 a year in personal income, and that means I really don't have to pay taxes. Thank you, Trump. For those who think that Trump gave it, nope. Because of Trump, anybody over $40,000 just basically isn't paying taxes. Yeah, I wish I had my 362 castle, right? With the way they're doing these mergers, then I would have a castle that I could go somewhere in the Kingdom 300s, right? Uh, you know, crap, and since I actually I only have one castle in the Kingdom 400 kingdoms. I doubt I have it anymore. It was a C26. I probably unbound it and reused the account somewhere. Uh, the Something to be said about having a bot. If you got old castles scattered out where you jump kingdoms over the years, turn the bot back on your old freaking castles. Let them sit there and just grind away. And then you can come back in less than, 3 months of grinding on a bot for free loot. You can come back and do 150% event and be pretty much caught up on stats. You'd be within the top 10% of most players pretty quickly in one event, one, maybe two events. The I have it. My 362 has a level 8 airship. I was over max on my airship in 362 long before they changed the airship systems. Yeah, it was when they changed the airship system. I was still using my 362 castle to manage because I actually forgot about this. I gave that castle to a girl and forgot I had used that castle to start the Gunmuse channel in Guns of Glory. But I got rid of all the internal Guns of Glory communication. I don't talk to anybody inside the game anymore because the people will try to send me a friendship thing, and then when I block them, it gets the ones that I know are internal employees. It blocks them 8 times, not just once. When I have to block the people from trying to get friendships with me in there. You pay for damage. Stats can be free. You pay for damage. But I also know that if you're trying to build a free castle, you can't build 5 free castles. The amount of time it takes to build a castle for free is about 20 some odd hours a week. Yeah, remember when airships were level 70 max? Well, I did that airship video 3 years ago. Uh, and to teach people how to set up their airship and how to reset their airship over and over again. And so I kept having to buy stuff for those videos. And then I couldn't put them on. And then right when they did the conversion stuff, I had bags and bags and bags of stuff that I was adding to that airship for video purposes that I hadn't used. And so my airship, your airship would max out at level 70, but you could keep getting EXP for them, right? And so God, for like 2 years, I got EXP you couldn't use, and then suddenly you could use it. So yeah, the airship was well beyond max. All the guards were maxed out, all 6-star guards on that castle. The guards on that castle in 362 are better than mine now. Still, guards and airship were the two things that you can't spend the amount of money that I got for free stuff on that castle. Yep, we would. There was a video out there on setting up the wolf for that castle. The freaking smacked the crap out of the wolf. I would do that. That's where the new castles in New Kingdoms would come in, right? I would go in there and do the airship shuffle, and every single new kingdom that I built a new castle in, you get all these guys that come in there and they'd shoot up to C-26 and have their T9s, and then there would be my little C-19 freaking #1 on the wolf. So, like I said, I spent the money in a way to promote what I was doing, which is teaching people better math. And you get right down to it. You want to talk about discouraging. Go out and blow $3,000 and then have a guy in a C-19 kick your ass. I wasn't blowing the money they were blowing. I'd only Yeah, my guards are, they fucked the guard system. The guard system's now, you can't manipulate the guards anymore. When they went to the fixed stats on the guards, so that I can't change the speed on a guard anymore. I can't manipulate the guard to punch up or defend up like I could before. Guards are doing half your workload. So tuning the guard, having the ability to tune the guards, and I tell you, we were probably, had I not gotten sick last June, we would have launched a guard tune system that I have now had to throw away. We spent 4.5 months coding up a guard power system for Rogers Raiders that I wound up having to throw away because it took me too long to launch it. Oh man, yeah, 362. My alliance was nothing but little castles. Freaking, but little castles. I had strict rules to try and control rumors. No one was allowed to go to Kingdom Chat and talk politics of any kind. Yeah, and it, quite frankly, this is where the troll team learned the new tactics, of trying to act like I was some type of oppressor. And it really was one of those things like, well, if you want to be here, you want to not spend money, you got to pay attention and you got to respect the fact of how I make the money to do this kind of testing. Because it costs real money to test. I spent more money, got to realize what I was doing at the time as I was building a team. How much is a team worth? All right. I could go out and build a castle for $4,000 or $5,000 back in 2019. That would be the envy of anybody in the kingdom. All right. So that I could have done that for ego. Or I could have a team of 50 people that would kick everybody's ass. We would win all our events, and that 50 people, some spent money, some didn't, but no one spent no one spent the 5,000. But it would cost me $7,000 to $10,000 to do the research to teach them how to punch above their level as a free player. So when you brought it down to cost per person, I bought a team for a lot less money than I could buy a single castle, because a single castle means I got to work with everybody else in the kingdom that spent money and pray to God they keep spending money. But by investing in a team that could play for free, all I had to do was keep people playing for free. The real problem with that system winds up being is even free players quit. And then you get the jackasses who have been nothing but jackasses in their other alliances who slowly start creeping over into your community. And frankly, anytime I do a startup community, I attract the people who don't want to be mouthy little shits. And then every time we let a little mouthy shit or somebody who thinks it's 5 o'clock, it's time for reset, let me log in and make fun of everybody, starts pulling that shit, the attrition rate gets faster and faster and faster. It is what makes kingdoms die. I've never gone out and put that stuff out there, but the thing that makes kingdoms die is you all are too nice to the worthless son of bitches out there. You cannot add tone or context to what's being said in 144 characters. The team speak was a brilliant idea. Creep was running his, and we ran voice comms for 20 years, but adding team speak to Guns of Glory was a good thing. Pain in the ass. Apparently, all these people with $1,000 phone in their hand cannot download a 99-cent freaking app and learn how to use it. They have to have their hand held in every aspect on how to use it. That amazed me every time. We was like, oh, somebody just downloaded. Can we teach them how to freaking do this? And I mean, you can't take an hour downloading a new tool. because they're so annoyed by the fact that they can't use the chat box. You know, I'm using a different system, and so therefore I'm the annoyance that they got to have TeamSpeak. But then once we put the people on the speaking platform, we had a lot fewer problems with miscommunications until we had people like Creep, you know, asking people's wives to send new photos. You know, that shit doesn't get taken out of context. The and while everybody goes, yeah, yeah, it's all forgiven, which was the words that happened. No, that couple wound up trying to steal freaking people from my alliance because they didn't want to play with, you know, because I didn't kick Creep out of the alliance. He forgets that. That thing just blows by him that I didn't kick him out because I had played with him for a year and a half. I just chewed his ass and told him to knock the shit off. But he wasn't knocking the shit off. He just wasn't doing it someplace I could see it. And it was getting back to me. That's another thing that blew up this last June, where I was throwing everybody out of the damn alliances because I was off doing the firewall testing, and all of a sudden I get an email that Creep's going to be running the damn Night Siege. Like, oh, how? And I said, no, he's not. Because I was already getting emails that Creep was being Creep. You know, that there were people that were feeling sexually harassed by Creep. I can tell you, having built great, big, monstrous social communities in gaming over the years, I don't even know why I keep doing it. I honestly, but the downfall is the people who think that they're cute and clever and that sitcoms are a way to learn how to debate and talk to people. Uh, they see something they think is a funny sexual joke that's got tone and context to it when you watch it on a sitcom. It doesn't have tone and context in freaking 144 characters. No one knows the thought that ran through your brain before you typed the text. The Well, Jonathan, the farming system, I used to run farming systems. I've got a $60,000 server over here where we used to run a bot farm, you know, with hundreds and hundreds of freaking castles on it. And back in the 362 days, right? Just to feed the RSS to my alliance. The But you know, Guns of Glory watches me, and I told everybody 6 months before it happened that bot farming was dead. Uh, I I have not bot farmed Kingdom 592. I do not have a single bot in Kingdom 592 because the cost of running bots to run those farms, or like you said, you got 5 C25s. That sounds like a guy that's logging in all the time. I can't do that. If I'm logging in to run the damn farms all the time, I'm not logging in to get shit done. So it's one thing. You know, the reason for buying the bots originally for farming was I needed the RSS to do the videos, and the I couldn't use I needed the time as well, so I couldn't do both. I had to give up one thing versus another. And then the bot farm, you know, it didn't matter how many bot farms you built up on it. I would go in there and I had to hand build a frickin' farm. I get it going in the catacombs. I think in 362 I have 15 castles that are maxed out catacombs. So if I wanted to turn on a bot farm in the 300s, and then well, hell, and if we're going to do a Kingdom 500 merger, guess what? We've got 533 farms. I say I gave them all to Wonky, who's been nothing but a douche. The Wonky and Arkin got all my old farms. But I built up 10 good farms there, all maxed out catacombs when I gave them away. Gave Wonky a C40. C35. I think it was a C35 when I gave it to him. It's hard to get a C40 out of that quickly. The yeah, Fun Plus is the problem with GOG. It's leftover thinking from 2005. The game Frank Thomas Goff was asking, do I think that the problem is Fun Plus? It's not just Fun Plus. There's another layer in China above Fun Plus. Okay, and so you've got all these companies that are like Fun Plus that are running the exact same style of game with different graphics. When one company makes a change, they're all making the same change at the same time, even though they're supposed to be 10 separate companies. That tells you that the change came down from on high. So, from in my world, uh, when me and Huawei got crossways, right? When Huawei decided to not pay their bill, uh, Guns of Glory went to Huawei and said, "You can't hire somebody to promote your video without permission from us." Even though Huawei's the one selling you, or Google or Amazon are the ones selling you your credits, they're buying from FunPlus. They shouldn't give a shit where the money comes from. But they actively went and told all the app companies not to do business with me. The My alliance at 362 is a well-organized machine because of Koji and Lily Fairchild. I have tried to duplicate those two people that make, so that I can do the on high stuff that needs to get done, and then they would translate it, out of what we used to call Muse speak, because I'm so gruff and mean. Not everybody else is soft and lazy. But I would say how things had to be done in order for us to agree. And then she would mama bear the frickin' alliance. Uh, but everybody goes, well, you tell your people this, if Lily Fairchild wanted to go off and just kill all the Russian alliance one day, I never told her no. And she had done it. Where they were out there randomly killing people, and you get into these things where I think that's one of the things Lily learned from you. Like, you can have all the words you want to have, and then the guy's going to promise not to do it again, but he's already done it. He's already stolen the RSS. And the problem we had with Russians in 362 was they were using combat bots where they would run a C-26 in there and you could not hit their troops, the single march thing. They're running them here in 592 as well. But I know how to beat the combat bots by hand now. It took me a half a year to learn how to do it. I can trick them. It's still software. They respond to certain stimulus, and I still know how to go in there and trick them. When the 592 guys quit using the bots pretty quickly because I zero their troops out when they're using them. You can go run those combat bots that are guaranteed not to let your troops get hit. I'll zero your ass. I know what combination of wonders and other things. I know what the testing setup is. They set out a test march. You see these guys who set out one cav right outside their castle, and you go and you hit it. They set a camp up. That's a guy optimizing his bot. And I will adjust my castle to give him bogus information to feed his bot. So that's the advantage of me understanding software and gaming for so many years, right? In 592, the worst thing was everybody wanted to know how I was doing anything. 362, no one cared how it was getting done. They just liked the fact it was happening. The thing that 362 kept asking was, please quit making videos about all the stuff you're finding. They really, as an alliance, just wanted to keep it to themselves, but that's not the purpose that the money was being spent for. Yeah. Well, to be fair, 362's biggest players in the last year, every one of the big bad players in 362 was originally my players. All those great big monster damn near maxed out castles that were still relevant in KVK every single week, even though I hadn't been there for a year and a half, I personally trained them from free players. Very proud of where the guys in 362 landed. But I mean, I kept them in the game playing for free because they were always better than the other players, uh, learning what we were teaching. And then Lily Fairchild actually spent money. She was a spending castle and was willing to spend money to keep guard for the monsters that came after us. Uh, Her and me spent money. But if I spent more money on my castle in 362, I would have been a much bigger player than had I spent all the money on testing. I mean, it was $800-900 a month worth of test, replacement parts to test, or to buy something I could have waited 6 weeks to buy, just so I could talk about it the first week it was out. And I don't do that no more. It's irrelevant. The market's not going to buy those items when they're $1,500. So what do we care about that? Let's keep talking about the stuff. I've had enough traffic numbers to know that no one gives a shit about this new stuff that came out. 362's dead. It 362 died about 4 months ago. It was still relevant 4 months ago. Uh, they had players. We got so big in 362. They had players that came in after I left, that were maxed out castles. They had some lawyer out of Texas that was max stat every week. You know, we set some records in 362 where we were the number one killing KVKs, uh, and didn't have a single castle in the top 20% of the fucking game. We were winning with style when other people were winning with money and power. But we had to fight ourselves to get there. We had immediately, and I think it was a bogus account. I can't remember his name now. I think it was one of those GOG, spark other people spending accounts, like, oh, I got money and I'm max stats and I'm going to be C40, blah blah blah, and we zeroed him. He never made it past C38. We just zeroed him. We got tired of him. The biggest stat castle that we had couldn't play his own damn castle. We had C32s that could kick his ass when he was C38. Uh, but the casual player doesn't know that. The guy on the leaderboard was Lydio. That was his name. The guy on the leaderboard was Lydio all the way across the board. And that's what I was duplicating in 592, was I was going to put my name all the way across that leaderboard for a long, long time in the hopes of getting the free player to pay attention. The exact opposite happened. Everybody went, well, he spends money, I'm not listening to him. Holy shit. It was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah. Oh, we won for a year and a half. Yeah, it was rare that we lost in 362. Uh, when I the thing is, I was at R5 of that alliance, and I picked 7 kings, and I never told anybody who the king was going to be before we won the KVK. I'd randomly give the KVK, the kingdom, to somebody who'd earned it. There was people that during those KVKs, I want people to know these KVKs. I want you to imagine this. At 3 in the morning, we would have 250 people waiting to get into our KVK alliance. You tell me where that's happening anywhere in GOG right now. And then I want everybody to turn around and listen to the 592 guys going, oh, you ran these people off. You ran those people off. We had 250 people waiting to play every KVK. We had the biggest problems. The biggest problems were our enemies would give up before we could get people into rallies to get them their points. That's now a dead kingdom. The 533 and then the 592 project was trying to get back what we got before GOG got a plan under their belt to disrupt what I was doing. Their entire goal was just do the opposite of whatever I'm doing. And they didn't like somebody having more power and sway than they did. At the same time, why wouldn't you want to duplicate what it was I built? It was a lot of money coming in. I figured it up at one point in time. Every KVK, we were spending about 30 grand as a kingdom. So 60 grand a month minimum just in KVK prep. That was just the KVKs. I'm not talking about any other spending. It's a phone game, Derek. I say this, and it literally rolls off the back of people when they hear it. If you can get 30% of your alliance to show up to an event on a phone game, you are an epic leader. 30% is your goal to be somebody who has an active alliance. And then your total membership shows up to an event at least once a month at a rate of 64%, 65%, somewhere around in there. It's phenomenal. And then you want to make sure your entire membership has shown up to an event once every 6 weeks. But 30% needs to show up to every single event, and then you are a can't be stopped alliance. You do not, when you go to build a new alliance in a new kingdom, you do not need every coiner that's ever been brought in there. You need people who are willing to play all the time. There comes your problem. Who's the people who are going to play every day? Free players may play free every day, but they play free in 20 different kingdoms. So they are going to put their castle on a bot, and or they're going to devote so little time to it that they're of no help to you. Because in one of their other kingdoms, their castle is a lot more fun to play than in your new kingdom. That's the problem with, so that becomes a problem with how the game is structured into kingdoms instead of allowing a player to play with themselves because they have multiple accounts. So the merger system is a disaster because they're still trying to keep it kingdom separated. This is why I've talked about these mergers before. The way they're doing this mergers or this kingdom migration for Guns of Glory is screwed in the head. It's bad thinking. They don't even understand why they don't work now, and they're trying to fix it. So yeah, when we get back to the question, is Fun Plus they're their own biggest problem because they still haven't admitted they don't know what the hell they're doing. They just do things because somebody gives them a paycheck to get something done. They don't even, monitoring from the outside, I can tell you they're not monitoring results of their activity on the inside. Their cost of studio time, if I was going in there and running them as a project manager, I can guarantee you the first thing we'd be looking at is studio time cost over a course of a year, year and a half. Uh, they constantly change graphics without changing structure. And the structure is the problem with the income, not the graphics. Well, Derek, that people say that a lot, but let me put it another way. The same thing you just said. Other people are your entertainment, but you're paying Guns of Glory for it. Ah, yeah. Creep's one of the ones that messed up Kingdom 362. Uh, I came in one day, Creep and Lawless. Well, Creep's friend, which was the R5 that stole the alliance from Creep. Creep had built an alliance there, and Creep's friend stole the alliance from him, kicked him out of his own alliance. Creep was playing with us, and then Creep and Lawless got in a fight with the old alliance, which was all the coiners in the kingdom. And then I didn't back off my moral issue with the problem that I had. After every single KVK, while people were wounded and weak, one of the alliances in the kingdom goes, we don't like to play KVK. We like to play, remember the kill event used to come on damn kingdom KVK day. So after another kingdom got done kicking our ass, this other alliance in the kingdom would come in there and kill everybody they could now that their troop count was down and they didn't have a chance to rebuild. So they were losing troops that they wouldn't get their 300% back for. Just an absolute, utter fucking ongoing dick move. Same players that we're fighting in Kingdom 592. Same people. The point was to piss me off. Same group, traveling around, all in some line group where somebody claiming to be a developer ginned up enough hate, gave out enough free loot in the middle, looked the other way while they cheat and got inside freaking stat information. And then finally one day, we just stood on them. And I mean, that's enough. I don't give a fuck what the kingdom rules are. We're going to start killing your castles 24/7. And it was the type of style thing that Creep was good at. You'd sit there. Creep would spend 20 hours hitting a castle that had 0 troops, just so that they had, 80,000 marches at them, knowing them they weren't going to build a single fucking troop back. And that's psychological warfare more than anything. And then one of the players in there decided he was going to moderate between me and the troll that had spent a year killing the kingdom players. And I'd said I'd had enough of you just killing people randomly in the player, because people were starting to get frustrated and quit, not because of our losses in KVKs when we lose troops. That was fun. They were playing for that. But after KVK, they would get murdered by their own kingdom. Just because these 4 players, didn't want to play by the kingdom rules. And then we got the usual, my dad died. An hour into starting to kill that alliance, oh, my dad died, could you float my castle? And so the guy logs off for a week with his castle floated, which was the biggest stat person in their kingdom. He wasn't going to let us kill him. Right? That bullshit. It's amazing how many people's dads and moms die. It's always dad. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody's mom's ever died. Their dad dies right when they're in trouble and they're about to get their ass kicked. Oh, because it's almost common courtesy to float a castle when somebody's, got a family trouble and they need to log away from the game for a while. The So they had that, and we commenced zeroing out that alliance. And then one of the other players, so here's the main spenders in the kingdom who had infiltrated Creep's old alliance, and but were on the side of the people we're killing. Oh, we're going to stay out of it. I'm like, really? You're going to keep letting them kill your KVK? Well, they got a right to play the way they want to play. No, they don't. If you want to play for free and you want to play KE, then go to a kingdom that loves KE. Find that. Don't turn around and take the opportunity of people paying to play a KVK game and then sponge off that. That's one of the reasons the rules, when you look at the what's it called? My gosh. The pirate event. Hold on. Let's go ahead. Uncharted Seas. All right. When you look at the Uncharted Seas event, the rules of the Uncharted Seas events are the rules that I've laid out for how a kingdom should be built by Guns of Glory so that you can interact with inter-kingdom warfare and still have enough safety to log off in the middle of the night. In other words, that if you're going to attack another alliance inside your kingdom, it honestly cannot just be one guy's decision. So in the Uncharted Seas, right, they've got to bring their alliance lines up next to your alliance lines to give any member of their alliance the ability to attack you while people are inside the safety of their own alliance. And your alliance can grow based on how aggressive you are. And if you look like you're about to be an aggressively big alliance, maybe a couple of alliances want to knuckle up to your alliance lines and deal with you as a problem, right? So it puts in context via the map what the politics of what the problem of Guns of Glory has been for a long time. All the rules are posted over on RogersRaiders.com for the rules of Kingdom 592 that I was going to enforce by force. They are the Uncharted Seas rules as of right now. And then you had people, and this is one of the things where in the summer I started getting crossways with the other YouTubers. Oh, and I'm doing Muffin now. This is too long. 45 days is just too long for the event. I'm like, this is not the event. This is the testing for the way the game's going to be played. She's not listening to me. She's listening to the jackasses in a line group. And I think the thing that pissed me off about her the most was she spent 1 hour in the week-long beta test and had an opinion about how it worked. And I had a problem with that. Just say you didn't do the beta test. Don't act like you tested anything in 1 hour. Oh, I had to work. I don't care what your excuses are. You didn't do the job as a YouTuber. So the work you were doing was not the work people wanted to come watch you for. So I had a problem with the priorities that she put forward. You want to be commenting on it because it's good for the YouTube viewership. You just don't want to be knowledgeable about what you're commenting on. That was a week I did, 5 or 6 lives. That week hurt me. I got hurt that week. Yeah. In the past, I would have let people log into my castle and play it. But in Kingdom 592, the trolls were constantly claiming knowledge that somebody else was playing my castle. And until we outed them last December that they were literally rolling off the logs of logins right off the Guns of Glory server into an Excel spreadsheet, I assumed they were guessing prior to that, and after that they weren't guessing anymore. And then when we were trying to buy the game with an investment group, we got to look at a bunch of that information ourselves. Yeah, they've spun off a lot of their little game spin-offs, like State of Survival. State of Survival's got a better startup system. Uh, Kingdoms of Avalon's got a better startup system for new players. They took, I've been promoting a Care Bear system for years. They put it into their other game structures. They just haven't put it in Guns of Glory. I honestly think the reason they put it in their other game structures is, and not in Guns of Glory, is because they ginned up a bunch of hate that they had to change what they were doing to make me happy. And it's part of that who the hell am I system, right? At no point in time do they look at me as a representative of the market that employs them. They hate people who pay them money. Is the only way I can simplify the way that Fun Plus acts. They hate people who pay them money. How dare you buy our product? Yeah. Oh, you expect this to work? What kind of shithead thinking is that? That it seems to be their reaction to everything they do, and it's non-ending. Plus, I can tell you for a fact that they're running several branches of Guns of Glory at the same time in development, and the branches aren't talking to each other. Old problems recycle themselves back into the system. And that's either accidental or by design. So either the developers have got enough of a black market going that they need the old bugs back in the system to continue their black market sales, like the selling of 6-star castles in brand new kingdoms. Guards with 6 stars on them. That's a hack. The engagement to checking for that hack doesn't start until month 2. So it's a hack that takes place the first couple weeks of a kingdom, but nobody's looking for hacking right away. So that kind of garbage. The same thing with the catacombs hack that I pointed out. No one's looking for it. But it's a big deal to have an extra 2% army damage. I don't have it yet. Yeah. Stream settings 200. Stream settings 200. What the hell does that mean? See, I don't like bringing in that. At the start of this thing, I brought in the foreign market, right? They can't speak English. So it really screws with my numbers. So I'm going to pull that back on stage, on thing. So you see this up and down, up and down, up and down thing going. And they push it out, up and up, and people don't watch for very long. So from like there to, well, they're watching about 2 minutes, but they don't speak English, and there's no subtitles to the live. There won't be subtitles to the live until 8 days after this thing goes on to YouTube, and then I'll subtitle it into their language for them. But I hadn't done a push since I started doing subtitling in another language, so I'm kind of curious if the subtitling work that I do for 10 different languages is going to work next week. That's why we're doing a Guns of Glory specific video, right? Is we're on topic, and we will be translating the 10 different languages next week. Uh, you know, the largest community for playing Guns of Glory is Thailand. Yeah. And before they separated Guns of Glory Asia, so the Asian market to Guns of Glory, I know everybody thinks there's a bunch of Chinese people in the thing, but the Asian market for Guns of Glory is actually separated from the regular market now. Has been since 2019. Uh the But I don't promote GOG Asia. GOG Asia is actually technically on YouTube a separate game from Guns of Glory. Yeah, I never promote to it. I probably should do it once I do translations because it's a bigger market, but I don't make any money from it. So the my advertisers tend to be American companies. We get advertisers from one of my biggest advertisers is side by sides, four wheelers for hunting. They buy a lot of advertising from me every year. Yeah, you know what? I hadn't done any of my damn daily stuff. Hey, look at there! I got a cannon I can upgrade. And you can see when the last time I logged on was. Like I said, I thought it was Thursday. My wife goes, "No, it's Saturday." I said, "I thought you're getting." She's like, "Where'd you go today?" She goes, "I went to donate blood." I said, "I thought you were going on Saturday." She goes, "It is Saturday." Yeah, and I swear to God it was Thursday. Yeah. This auto collection is kind of broken. So I set up one of each in this bottom four area, thinking I'd go here and just swipe these four and I'd be done real quick. And it doesn't always collect like it's supposed to. So how you guys liking? You know what? I never did do it. I didn't know until the other day that there were level 8 freaking 50% more. Occupy March. Iron search. I do 2 silvers, but I let myself get hit all the damn time, and you can't protect your silver. The resource protection doesn't work for silver for some reason. That's a bug that I've never addressed on film either, right? The It'll protect your wood and food, and a tiny percent of your silver. But what they've done is they've got this little background uh, value to the different resources. So, like if you gather silver, it's worth more resources than 30,000, right? It's worth the same as a half a million or whatever the, hold on, what is the food up there now? 600,000. So 30,000 silver and 600,000 food are the same amount of gathering for events. Uh, but for some reason the protections don't work that way. I man, I actually just get to a point where, sometimes I just I can't stay awake. I get up. I think the reason I thought it was Thursday is because I slept 2 days this week and just didn't realize it. All right, so I'm going to do 2 silvers this time. And the thing you got to do, and here's the thing. So I got the one guy in the Discord who's talking to me about building his own botting company. And I talked to the one guy who built a botting company last year, right? And I haven't gone back and talked to GOG Bots to see if he did what I asked him to do. Back when I first talked to him, he couldn't get people to bot off of this page, right? Which I don't know why. I'm sure he's fixed that by now. I was about to go look, because this is important for this area, right up here. So you got to go gather up these things because I can't buy them. Earn by purchasing bundles. Bundles not available. So I can't buy my way into that. This is a good thing. So for free players who play every day, they've got to go do those estate things every day. And then you can go up in here and be getting this stuff done. Because you are a free player, you're going to be doing what I'm doing here. And that is, you're going to be working on your defense tactics first. This is going to up your firewall's capability, right? So if you're a $2 a month member over on Rogers Raiders, you're going to want to be playing this thing every day. And I haven't been doing it every day. So my inactivity is allowing a free player that's active to become stronger against me, right? You got to do that stuff every day. And I'm sure there's guys out there. It's every year I get contacted by somebody who's going to college who's getting handed free software on how to optically read and build a bot using these systems with optical character recognition, and that software is getting better and better every year. You haven't noticed, and I didn't even think about it until like the day before yesterday or something like that. So you got all these Chinese ads where it's like, come play bingo, and it's like Snoop Dogg and uh, uh, just super hot celebrities out there uh, telling you to come give your cash to the Chinese bingo operation. That is the artificial graphic intelligence where you can take one person and make them look like another, voice things. It's just fake. Those characters are not doing it, and no one's stopping it. And Google has the technology, ability, and platform already in place that when somebody uploads an ad with a fake freaking sponsor, to reject that ad automatically until it's verified. The same thing they do with my music, they can do with video, and say, and say Snoop Dogg isn't really trying to sell bingo to black people, but they're not. They're not using their technology for good because China's paying for the ad revenue. The end of the day, China is buying their way into money just blowing out of countries hand over fist. And the people that should be stopping it are not. They destroyed when you were talking earlier about, Google is destroying itself, I would say that would be true if people would stop utilizing Google in all assets. But that's never going to happen. The My software guy works for a company that's building a database of search engines for products that are only built in America. And I kind of glossed over it for him and saying, look, I've done that. I actually have that software built. The problem winds up being no search engine is going to promote another search engine. And how are you going to pull your market share away from Google? So you got to build the system that steals market share away from Google because it's so useful to the person who uses it. Uh, and I actually had that. That's what PR News Now used to be. In order to kill PR News Now, they literally walked into Houston in there and set my server on fire. That's how they killed that. One day, my equipment was on fire in the middle of a room full of 60,000 other equipment. Mine's the only one on fire. Uh, my rack. I think some other people got. It was just amazing how my stuff in the middle of the place just caught on fire. And they blamed it on raspberry ants. Matter of fact, you say things like that, people think you're nuts. I'll bet you I can still Google that up. Gunmuse, Houston, server, fire. Let's put those keywords in there. Oh, look at that. Explosion at the planet causes major outage. Well, there you go. You can pull that shit up. You just got to be creative in what Google cleans up. Google will clean that up. That thing will probably be gone in a week or two. So I just got to be creative about it. All right. The servers, Houston, warehouse on fire. But that fire was during the John McCain eliminating his run for president. I'm going to put it on hold while the economy is collapsing. And it allowed every single newspaper in the world to say, yeah, John McCain doesn't think he can fix the economy. It's got to be Obama to fix it. And that wasn't the truth. Yeah, that wasn't even what was going on at the time. Yeah, but I had my news organization was reaching 26 million people a year at that time. And 85 to 90% of that traffic was United States, which means I was reaching damn near everybody who voted on one side. So if I put out a news article counteracting everybody else, the only people who could outperform me in numbers was Fox News at that time. Yeah, I had to be stopped because I would do stuff like let liberals issue press releases. You know why? Because I want people to read the shit they say. I still think people are smart enough to know when they smell bullshit when they see it. Uh, the difference between me and other news organizations was I wouldn't let you take it down next week. Every other digital organization on the planet, you write a lie and put it out there for people to read on day one, they'll let you take it down on day 7. And then swear to God, all the right-wing people are just crazy and making shit up. And I wouldn't let your news story go away. Nope, there it is. There's what they said. Wouldn't kill it. And that was devastating. Nobody does what I did back then, which is just tell that you've got to have enough strong will to tell lawyers to go piss up a rope. Because you're going to be contacted by lawyers 8 to 10 times a day. All of them threatening to sue you. And you go, okay, let me give you my address. I'm telling you, the power was not deleting the left's initial news. They would put out the most outrageous lies, and then they would syndicate that via the social platforms, right? And then they would make that disappear and follow it up with a fact a week later, and no one could figure out why the Republicans didn't seem crazy all the time, because they're always making shit up. We didn't say that. That didn't happen. And when you started Googling the lies, what was that? There was a thing where you used to Google up whether or not an email was phishing or not. But when you Googled up those lies, you were going to find my news organization having printed it. If you paid money to issue a press release, you no longer own the content. It's the world's. Anybody can reproduce that content no matter what. So I would take anything anybody paid to push up in front of another newspaper and put it on my website. I've thought about rebuilding that organization again, but I have to restructure my world in such a way as to deal with the IRS sticking an anal probe up my ass every 18 hours until I say ah. Because that's how they fight that war. They don't come after the content so much anymore. I think I could keep the content up. I've learned lessons over the last 10, 15 years on how to do that. But they don't play just on your news versus my news. They attack with government agencies. And so you've got to have the willpower to go sit in a jail cell when it gets right down to it. You got to be Kyle, right? Kyle wasn't on trial for murder. Kyle was on trial for self-defense. And that trial was a how-to on how to get bogus evidence in front of a prosecutor that wants to make up bullshit in a courtroom to eliminate the right to self-defense in the United States. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you guys don't go watch, I hate the fact that there's a guy like Tucker Carlson out there who's willing to put proper news out there, but he's got to put it behind a paywall on Fox Nation. That Fox Nation app, it's different than Fox News. One, I hate the fact that they labeled Fox on top of it. Because all the people over on Fox Nation are the people who have got the willpower to put what is known truth of film in front of your face. Tucker Carlson owns his own news company. He got that slot because he has a news company that people followed because it broadcasts the truth like I was doing. But since Tucker Carlson got on Fox News, they've come after him every way they possibly can to destroy him. And like the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, one, I don't think he did a very good job exposing that. He was the only one who even dipped his toe into it. But COVID did a better job of exposing the Kyle Rittenhouse story than anything. People sitting at home, oh, Joe Biden ran a damn COVID freaking scare, sent everybody home the week that the Kyle Rittenhouse was on the TV. And anybody who watched that live and unfiltered went, holy shit, what are they doing to this kid? I don't want that to be me. That's the real story they're trying to get out there, is if you don't want to be sitting in a courtroom accused of murder one day, you better let somebody shoot you. Yeah. Yeah, that was scary. If so I watched the Tucker Carlson Kyle Rittenhouse thing. They talked about prosecutor misconduct. They didn't show it. They got film of it. Show it. Don't just say it happened. No one believes you. Everybody else is calling you a liar. You've got to demonstrate that they're a liar. Otherwise, they're going to believe the first thing they heard, which was Kyle Rittenhouse drove across state lines with a machine gun to kill black people. They said that for 6 months until the prosecutor's witnesses got on the stand, all white people that Kyle shot, and then had to point out that the child molesters that were armed and put a gun in his face got shot by the white kids. So the white kid shot other white kids who were pointing guns in his face, and it was on film. Oh, where'd all these black supremacist stuff, where'd all this white supremacy stuff go? At that point, why isn't the FCC literally pulling their license to broadcast in the air? That is a crime at the FCC. If a radio station had done what these news stations did, they wouldn't have a right to broadcast in front of the public. That lie incites a riot. That is the definition for more than 50 years, since the 1950s. This is why they go on TV and say, is suspected of. Right now, Kyle Rittenhouse gets to hire a lawyer and go around and sue every news station. The kid with the MAGA hat, he got an undisclosed multi-million-dollar settlement from CNN because they say, hey, he got right up in that guy's face and yelled. None of what they said about that kid was true. They just needed a white supremacy story before the election. So they made one up. They said, hey, here's a white kid. We caught some video of those two being in each other's faces. Oh, but we didn't show the video where the Indian guy walked up and got in his face. We just showed the video where he didn't back down from the guy that got in his face. Where's the part, And then the number one, and the reason that the MAGA hat kid got the multi-mega is the black anti-Jew group that was there wound up giving statements on behalf of the white kid. No, that kid didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. And there was video of them when the cops come in. It was like, no, they didn't do nothing. Once the media was gone and people were filming the guys that were trying to get media content, watch that video, not the news's video. They needed to be racially outspoken for the media. Once the news crews were gone, they're like, yeah, that kid didn't do nothing. They couldn't have been better witnesses for the kid. And they got a multi-million-dollar settlement because CNN went over and said, this is what we need to see. Show it to us. And they got it. But I built my news company not to build a news company. I built my news company because my gun magazine got in a pissing contest with Ford Motor Company. Well, that's still happening, Derek. He's got 7 more lawsuits pending. He's winning them. CNN settled. This is one of the things where everybody goes, hey, I'm so pro-Trump. This is one of the things where I didn't like what Trump. I didn't like the things that Trump didn't do. Because it would look like he's supporting the MAGA hat kid. Oh, he was wearing your hat and therefore you pulled our FCC license. No, you lied about the kid on public airs and damn near incited a riot that was about racial things that were never stated. You tried to start a race riot over at CNN and are still trying to do so today. They should have had their FCC license pulled. It's a crime, clearly defined crime. But because the kid was wearing a MAGA hat, Trump listened to his staff say, oh, we can't do that. You've been calling them fake news for a year, and then you go pull their FCC license. Everybody will accuse you that. And honestly, who wouldn't? You can hear the story in your head had Trump pulled CNN's FCC license. The MAGA hat's on his head. The black people were being accosted. That was all the story that was out there. And Trump went over, being the white supremacist that Trump is, pulled CNN's FCC license. Not they lied and tried to destroy a 15-year-old kid so they could win an election for a Nimrod and a bunch of con artists that are now running our White House. I'm telling you, people are not paying they're not, the distance of time should be, let's look at the facts now, what happened. The story about the race riots in Waukegan, about the cops just shooting the black guy for no good reason. How about go look at the video of that? The one where the cop said, stop, 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 stop. Put down the knife, put down the knife, put down the knife. Or the fact that you got to zoom in the thing. The cops were already tasing him, and he's running towards other people. He had that knife and was charging towards other people. Those cops had a trained duty to kill that man. Not to kill him, but to shoot him till he stopped, because he had a deadly weapon heading for other people. And every non-lethal tactic had already failed. But that story never made it out. CNN said a bunch of white cops killed a black guy today. Everybody go riot. Then Kyle Rittenhouse goes out and says, hey, I work for this car lot. How about you not burn our cars down? We're going to defend our property today. Then the story was Kyle Rittenhouse was out there trying to kill black people because he's a racist. The white supremacy party doesn't exist in the United States. That's the first lie being told. Just doesn't exist. The size of them inside of a prison has to do with there are fewer white people in prison, and so white people need to stick together. And the very few white racists that wind up in prison tend to wind up in there for life and tend to be organizing the race within prison. And then it's blown out of proportion by the news and media. They've been doing it because we haven't been stopping them. I will put this out so that the rest of you can do what I'm about to do this year. I am right now trying to find me a state trooper in the state of New Mexico. When Bill Richardson was running for governor's office, I had a state trooper that brought me photos of the Bill Richardson for President buses before you were allowed to accept a donation to run for president. So it was a crime that he had these buses. Somebody had bought them for him, plastered his face on the side of these buses. Illegal campaign contributions. They were in a warehouse here in New Mexico. I know for a fact that New Mexico is going to be one of the states that's going to have fraudulent mail-in ballots. But I also know that in order to fake the mail-in ballot, you have got to pre-print them, pre-sort them, and deliver them so that they can be stamped by the zip code from which the ballot should be mailed from. Which means they're sorted into boxes ready to be shipped out to post offices after the date in which you can start mailing in ballots, right? They will show up in boxes, pre-sorted, thousands of ballots at a time, and then that local post office will stamp them with the local code. Somewhere there's a warehouse storing up pre-printed ballots ready to do this as part of a logistics operation. The 4 mail trucks do not show up in the middle of the night with millions and millions of pre-printed ballots on the same day at the last minute without knowing the logistics of the post office. So that test run that took place during this last presidential election that failed nationwide, and I'm saying failed nationwide because 4 of them had to have emergency ballots delivered in the middle of the night because they didn't put in enough ballots during the day, during the months of mail-in ballots. That failure won't take place. But to prevent that failure, somewhere in every state that has a mail-in ballot system, there's a warehouse storing ballots to be mailed in. I'm not telling anybody to steal them or set them on fire or anything like that, but get film of them. You want to mail that film to me, you can go on my Discord, send me a copy of that film. Make sure you have your GPS location services built into the film, and then I can do something about it. Logistically, every one of those mail-in ballots are now being put into a box and pre-sorted. It's the way the system works. They can't get around the post office system. So the post office has a sorting system to it. If I want to send out 10,000 letters to my membership, I've got to pre-sort all that mail. The system won't accept it unless it's pre-sorted, which means it has to be staged in advance. So I promise you this is taking place because it has to take place. The failure of the 4 mail trucks showing up in the middle of the night was the fact that Donald Trump got so many votes that Joe Biden had fewer votes than Obama, and throughout the country, throughout the 3,000 districts, he had fewer votes in every single district than Obama, and they had to be made up for in 4 states. And they wound up being made up for in 4 districts in 4 states. It's a mathematical. You would just have to, again, once again, avoid deductive reasoning and believe that everybody in America, except for 4 counties, love Donald Trump. But these 4 counties hated Donald Trump so much, they literally showed up at a rate of 110% of the registered voters. 110% of the people who registered to vote mailed in a ballot and all voted Biden. You just got to believe that. And anybody says different is just making shit up. And as we just said, the context of time tells you the reality of the facts weren't real. So we saw the facts first day. Here's a fact that most people don't know. Donald Trump, when he sued, like Wisconsin, he lost the state of Wisconsin. But do you know that he won the state of Wisconsin because they were able to prove the fraud in Wisconsin. The fraud was so blatant in Wisconsin, Donald Trump won in court. But Wisconsin's been one of those places that had been slowly flipping back Republican because Wisconsin's a rural area. They're liberally minded. John Wayne's a liberal. I don't care what the hell you do. Just don't bother me. That's a liberal. But the marketing narrative is the conservatives want to tell you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And that's just not true. I'm a conservative, and I don't give a shit what you do. Yeah, until it bothers me, until it affects me. Yeah, so this stuff affects me, Man, I kind of want to end on a high note here. Man, I don't know if it popped up on the screen, but whoever joined to give money to the veterans group, I see the new member thing. Thank you very much. I didn't see it when it come up. I didn't hear it in my headset, that's for sure. I appreciate that. All that money does go to charity. Like I said, I put my money, it's a cost investment for me. I spend about 10% of what you guys spend. So every 10 cents that I put into producing this stuff, you guys spend $1 that goes to my charities. So I consider it a great investment. We're right now, as part of the veteran charity, this is another thing that when we went to go do tires for my dad, right? I told you we went and go bought tires for my dad. So that's a 4-hour day in the truck talking to my dad. My dad, they roped him back into being the head of our veterans foreign wars deal. And when we stopped running that, they went from having $1 million in the bank to, honestly, they couldn't pay the light bill last month because we weren't directly running it anymore. Because you can't trust people when they get around large sums of money that they start, especially some of these people, especially some Vietnam veterans, feel a little entitled. Mainly by the media. Oh, they spit on me in the airport. That's a lot of loogies. There is one piece of film of that happening in the 70s. It was not a everyday event. that people got spent on in the airports. That was marketing and bullshit. The the reality of the Vietnam War is not, you know, the worst people to the Vietnam veterans was not the hippies. The worst people to the Vietnam veterans was the World War II veterans. And I'll honestly tell everybody that, this is one of the things that I'm trying to fix via military charity. The World War II veterans shit on the Vietnam veterans. They didn't get, and the reason why is it was considered the first war we ever lost, and it was only lost, but the military didn't lose a single battle in Vietnam. We lost the war because the Democratic Party defunded the war the minute we started winning it hand over fist. The communists went in there and bought a vote in Congress to defund the war. You got to remember who we were fighting in Vietnam. We were fighting Russia. We weren't fighting the North Viet Cong. But what was being said on the news, the war is now lost. Walter Cronkite said it. Right? But we lost the war because it got defunded. Stop fighting. Then they took all of our equipment and threw it overboard. Didn't even bring it home. Right? So you couldn't go back. Sound familiar? Bunch of equipment being left around. Can't go back and get. This system has been used 3 times now. Vietnam being the first time. The first Gulf War being the second. I will throw Mogadishu in there because I watched the Pakistanis unload UN equipment, get back on a plane, and leave just 10 days later and not take a single bullet with him. And a young man by the name of 𝙂𝙪𝙣𝙆 Bin became an arms dealer. And that was in September of 1991, right? Yeah, because Clinton won the election in November, and they acted like we didn't go into Mogadishu until December, if you watch the History Channel. But I can tell you, in 4 months prior to that, we were handing weapons via the Pakistani government to Osama bin Laden to become an arms dealer for terrorist groups. Then we moved all that equipment into the first Gulf War, and the Democratic Congress, which was elected with Bill Clinton in 1992, defunded the Iraq War rather than deal with, while we had 104 nations all on our side. We couldn't deal with Gaddafi, not Gaddafi. Oh my God, Spider Boy. The name is like right there on the tip of my tongue. We couldn't deal with him, so we abandoned everything out in the middle of nowhere. We had to go back in 2001. We brought all brand new equipment that was all American made and only American made equipment to deal with the Iraq problem a second time. Why? Because Saddam Hussein, that was the name I couldn't think of, was selling oil to the French, the Germans, and the Russians below the world market price, which the world market price of oil is set by US dollar. In other words, they were running black market. And the way Saddam was taking payment was French jets, German missiles, and Russian tanks. He was building a war chest of a new army because the United States had destroyed his old one. And the French, Germans, and Russians all were building up the military that was about to fight the United States again. And so we went back in 2001, and they beat, we won handily within the first 6-7 days again. And we slowly lost what would have been the cold part of that war due to things that we didn't understand about Iraq, things like their welfare system. So when you just take out a foreign country's government, but you decide that you're going to not be on war footing, when you go to war with somebody, you destroy their will to fight. That is pain inside the population. That's what wars do. We decided not to do that underneath George Bush. So George Bush was going to be the nice guy president that committed war, right? We're going to deal with our military problem, but be nice to the population, which means that you take out their government and you take out any infrastructure that government has. So Saddam's government was gone, but his government was a totalitarian government. Now they had things like welfare there. They had what we would consider food stamps, only they don't give them a credit to go down to the local market and buy food. People who needed, wives and widows in Iraq who needed food, a truck came by and set a basket outside their door. Well, we killed everybody that was in that government, so there was no baskets of food being delivered no more. So we started starving the population because we didn't understand their welfare system. If you watch the news during that time, that was called, "What about all the mistakes you made in Iraq, Mr. President?" They never said what the mistakes were. They just said the mistakes you made. The welfare system, the number one mistake that we made in Iraq was while we destroyed their infrastructure and tried to convert them immediately to a new one, the people that were starving and didn't want to leave the old system were robbing and looting their neighbors. And there was, in Iraq, under that culture, you just kill people that do that. We needed to take on that role of shooting looters. When you see somebody looting their neighbors, you shoot them. The number one mistake made in Iraq, and it's in a book, I can't remember the name of the book, was we didn't shoot looters. Had we shot the looters, starting day one that we said we're now in charge, and we're going to build you a new government, you're going to vote on that new government. Had we been shooting looters from the day we said we're in charge to the day they elected a new government, Iraq wouldn't have had the problems that it had, that we had to go back in there and do the surge, right? McCain's big plan. It wasn't McCain's plan. It was just the plan. They gave him credit trying to make him president. And then they parked all those Humvees up by the Iranian border. Obama wins. Obama says all that was left to do in Iraq was to sign an arms agreement. In other words, we wanted to leave 5,000 troops in Iraq to enforce the peace, to make sure elections still took place. And Obama said, we don't do that. We're not going to continue this war forever, right? Only we'd done it for 100 years. We take the millions of troops out, but we leave enough people there that, if you got a little surgence of bad guys, you can go send 20 hard-hitting motherfuckers out there to deal with the problem. That's what we were doing in Afghanistan up until a couple months ago. There was only 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. Their entire job was to make sure that great big caches of weapons that are stored up for the free army of Afghanistan to use in the future didn't get stolen. Yeah. Man, I should find that. There's a map that showed from the time that Biden took place, the provinces of Afghanistan being taken over by the ISIS, of why that man should have never been in charge. Because, it went from like a yellow blinking light to a red blinking light. The ISIS just slowly took over that whole country in the course of 6 months. But that's so we had that, they stuck all those Humvees and stuff up by the border, and then you watch the ISIS problem, like, oh, we're dealing with Syria and ISIS. It's a new terror group. It's the same fucking people. They changed their damn name. That allows the American government to act like they're dealing with something new. Same people. kill America people. I don't give a damn what name they're under. They all got the same damn God, and they're full of shit when they say they don't. The and their agenda doesn't change one lick. Uh, we are the common enemy, no matter what name they call themselves. And then they had all those Humvees. You watched them on TV driving around, and just like you just watched it in Afghanistan again. Like, hey, here's all these American vehicles that, you know, that'll run for a long ass time. And then I hear I was watching the Reagan Defense Council this week saying, well, those AR-15s, you know, they got to be cleaned, and those people won't do that. They will not figure out how to use a cleaning brush and oil is literally the defense of the Democratic Party right now. That an AR-15 may work better than an AK-47, but only if you clean it. And these people are not going to be able to Google a YouTube video on how to clean an AR-15. One of the articles, and the reason I'm so pissed off about this is one of the articles I wrote about leaving stores of weapons in Muslim countries for the purposes of arming up their police was I wanted it to be an AR-15 platform so that we had control of the parts being made. But the second thing was I wanted it to be a non-NATO round. 223 is a NATO round, which means there's countries like France who are in NATO and countries like Germany who are in NATO who can legally make a 223 round and sell it to ISIS. I had a problem with that capability for the very reason we were back in Iraq in 2001 was those two sumbitching countries were selling them weapons. And everybody's paying attention to the airplanes and the missiles being sold, but no one's paying attention to the ammo that those countries can make because they're NATO countries and it's 223. So I wanted a custom-built ammo that we supplied their police. That if it was being built anywhere, we would be able to track who's doing it a lot easier because it'd be a constricted supply. You know, anytime somebody in France tried to make a non-NATO round and sip it, we'd be able to track that crap. That stuff shows up. You'll be able to shoot the messenger and find out where it comes from. You'll be able to chase that change. But you get a box of ammo that's stamped NATO, you don't know where the hell that crap came from. ISIS is CIA. You know, CIA is Christians in action, right? I promise you that ISIS's agenda was not on the same plan as stopping Putin in Syria, because Putin was about killing every damn Christian in Syria. Yeah. They I get a lot more information. You know what? I just had him the other day. I can show you that. Hold on. Let me go to my LinkedIn channel. Do. All right. So here's a chat I'm having on LinkedIn. CEO of QU Secure Venture Capital. No, wait a minute. We're working with the U.S. Air Force on the quantum cyber security for satellite to satellite to ground systems. Thought it might be a good to connect with me. All right. And then I was honest with him. Said, look, I haven't done any satellite security since JOTS in the early '90s. I'm way out of the loop on that stuff. And then I had another thought because it was in the back of my mind just spinning. And then I come back a couple days later And I said, one more point, anything to do with the Air Force has been fed to the Chinese in real time since the late 90s. This is Brennan. And the reason this sparked up was David talking about the CIA. CIA underneath Clinton. I don't know what blackmail thing that Brennan had on the Clintons, but the guy voting communist got to be the head of the CIA. He built an Air Force program that has been building these combat veterans who are Air Force people that are now springing up into politics all over the place. They are showing up inside of our military charities. They are redirecting money. They made fake combat veterans so that they would be legal inside of our charity systems. And now the heads of our charity systems are all these Air Force guys that were underneath the Brennan program. They're fake. It's bullshit. They got enough ribbons to get the combat stamp put on their DD-214. It's damn near impossible to get an Air Force guy with a combat stamp. And these things started coming out of the woodworks. This is one of the things where the previous congressman of the state of New Mexico, he used to fly for the Air Force during Vietnam, and but he couldn't qualify to be in the Veterans of Foreign Wars because they took off from a non-combat zone and they landed safely in a non-combat zone. Yes, it's true he flew over combat areas, but that don't count on a DD-214. And I just pointed out, I said, look, you're not a member of this organization. It's just the way that works. All right, so security, okay, so I'm pointing this out, and I didn't say that. I didn't put Brennan's name in this thing, but I'm telling you guys. The reason I'm having a problem with the Air Force being in charge of satellite-to-satellite communication is twofold. IBM was the contractor in the 90s for all our satellite cards. IBM is owned by China now. That was a sale that should have been blocked by Obama for security reasons. IBM had decades of our technology that they built for the military, and they said, well, we're going to let China buy IBM. So they bought all our technology, to the motherboard that's inside the tanks we use, to the motherboards inside the satellites that we're trying to re-secure. The thing's floating in the air. So if you're going to go to war with China at some point here, hey, you've got to get rid of our entire old military and bring in somebody else. And this is what this guy is trying to tell me. He doesn't even realize that I know enough about the systems to know that he's just told me top secret information that there is a contract to replace these things. All right. So I'm telling him, I said, look, without a replacement of satellite hardware and a proper 3-layer ground security, you can't just do a software secure from satellite communication. You just can't do it. It's not going to work. I know how the original satellites work. I was part of development on that stuff back in the early 90s. And they're not going to patch this today. There's no patch going in there. You got to remember, back in the early 90s, we put these satellites up into place. Even the stuff that, like the GPS for your phone, that satellite, your phone has 1,000 times more memory than that satellite does. That's how out of date the software is. The satellite, they're talking about using cobalt for, the best security for that satellite is the fact that it is so old that if you have a guy with a gun standing on the ground at the one place you can talk to that satellite's secure. You secure those satellites with a gun. You don't turn around and spend billions of dollars flying up into space to upgrade the satellites. That makes it vulnerable to anybody who's hacking satellites. This is literally using US dollars to make it so that we can be hacked. So I had a problem with the way this guy, but I mean, hell, this was just the other day. This is 3 days ago. But this is the kind of stuff I get. I gotta, deep vested background in technology and Christians in action. That was the nickname for the CIA for decades, man. Anywhere the Christian religion wanted to make an impact in the world, we had a foreign government entity called CIA to make it happen. Not Assad. That uh okay. I would say yes, Assad did not do the gassing, but Assad stood by while Russia did, and Assad also let the Russians hand in the helicopters for those nail bombs. You talk about the gassing. The gassing's one thing, but the devastating part was the nail bombs that they used to drop with the helicopters. Uh, but the groups they were dropping those on there, David, were any group that would support the United States if we tried to go back into Syria to stop Putin from getting his pipeline across Syria so that he had access to a warm water port. Any group that the United States could partner with to be a militia group on the ground to where we could feed them money and arms and stuff, like freedom fighters, those groups were what was being targeted by those gas bombs and by those uh, nail bombs. Now, to say the CIA isn't involved, now we got to turn around and say, well, wait a minute. Didn't the CIA turn around and make up a bunch of shit up on Trump? Didn't the CIA turn around and feed false information to Bush to make sure that he looked bad? So is there a rogue element in the CIA? You can't just brand the CIA. I'll be right back. I gotta walk outside and pee. All right, let's see if I don't know if my sound's back or not. Hold on. I didn't hear a beep in my ear. Test 1, 2. Okay, I'm back. Um, so so David's saying the CIA is involved. All right. Well, that we can say that's true. What did I just say? Brennan, a devout communist, became the head of the CIA, and the very bombings you're talking about came from his organization, and all that benefits China right now, which is in control of the Democratic Party, which put Brennan into place. So, not arguing with you, man. It's but you can't just say CIA. That's what I'm trying to get at. You can't just pop out three-letter numbers and says, "Oh, it's the federal government." It's not the U.S. Constitution that's at fault here. It's the sorry son of a bitches we haven't put down that aren't following the Constitution, that aren't following the laws, that are selling our soul to the highest bidder. And when we went to war for against Britain, what's the most famous statement? Wait till you see the whites of their eyes until you fire. People don't even understand that. That we've got a government problem here so bad that we can't just show force or resistance anymore. They have to die. To wait until you see the whites of their eyes is a musket with no rifling was so inaccurate that if you shot at somebody at 30 feet, you might miss them. When it gets to the point that you have to shoot somebody in the face in order to maintain your freedom, you cannot afford the ability to miss. So don't fire at 30 feet. Wait till 15 feet when you can see the whites of their eyes. We can't afford you to miss. This is, they need to die or we'll never have our freedom. We teach it in school, but we don't teach the context of it. Because there's a military aspect to wait until they see the whites of their eyes, right? Nowadays, it's done with media. Wait till you see the whites of their eyes. You know, I should probably coin that. What am I looking for here? I'm looking for that. I don't know what you're saying there, David. You've got an insult in one of your sentences there. You're trying to make me to be out to be the conspiratist. All I'm reporting to you is facts. The conspiracy that's churning in your mind right now, you're hearing it because it's contradiction to what you've heard before. Remember, the first thing you hear is the truth, and the facts fuck with that. All right. So Brennan was a devout communist. That's not in dispute. That's a fact. That's a known fact. I'm sure you can even Google that one. He was registered with the Communist Party when he was made the head of the CIA. As for the fact that, since then we've had this influx of Air Force people, when he created a program in the 90s, the tie-in to the Air Force happened to go in with the colleges under the Hillary campaign, where you had Air Force vets for Hillary Clinton, so that she had veterans in support of Hillary type shit going on. It was all Air Force stuff. And mostly it was women Air Force vets who spent 2 years in Cocoa Beach, Florida, where you work 4 days a week and get off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you're saying that the CIA committed the problem, but aren't you really saying that the bought CIA committed the problem? But you're skipping over a fact. Brennan was a plant. Brennan could not pass a security check. He was forced into the CIA head position, where he went through several presidents. They couldn't get him out of there. So when you turn around, you get up to the point and say, well, the CIA is the one doing it. That means that the start of the destruction of the United States via China started with a couple of events during the 90s. Clinton sold all the port, the docks along California to China. That's Chinese soil now, not U.S. soil. China can dock a ship there all they want, anytime they want. They own the port. They don't need our permission to drop counterfeit shit off in China, in America no more. The first act of war is counterfeiting. Instead of counterfeiting the dollar, they counterfeited our production. I'm telling you, you start looking at 20 years of little things that shouldn't matter, and they all add up to what we saw this year coming to a head. It's time for action on the part of China. They're acting. Man, I've got to go. This is way too long. I got 137 people in the stream, or 180 people in the stream, and I know I should keep keeping this on. But not what I wanted to get into with this live stream. It was supposed to be about Guns of Glory. All right. I appreciate it, guys.